All right. Hi, guys. Today we're going to start a new chapter. We are going to talk about ratios and proportions today. Your test over this new chapter will be on March 9th, which, by the way, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up, and March 9th is one of those parent-teacher conferences. If any of your parents want a parent-teacher conference. So today we're going to talk about ratios and proportions. If you had a full year in algebra, you probably talked about this, but I'm not sure if you guys made it that far because of COVID. So, okay. So I'll teach you ratios and proportions like you've never seen it. Okay, so all a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. That's it. It's just a comparison of two numbers. You can write it like A to B, A colon B, which that's how we're going to write it on our assignment today, or you can write it as a fraction.
We did do ratios.
You did do ratios, okay. And you may have seen it in 7th grade, maybe, or 6th grade. Okay, the thing about ratios is it has to be reduced. So if I have a ratio and I'm comparing two numbers and it's like 2 to 4, 2 over 4 reduces to 1/2. So you do have to reduce it. If you don't reduce it, you get the answer wrong. So we're going to be comparing two numbers, but you do have to reduce it. So for example, the number of students that participate in sports at a particular high school, let's say Broken Arrow, is 520. The total number of students, well, in Broken Arrow we have a lot more. The total number of students is 1850. So we have to find the athlete to student ratio. So it has to be in that order, athletes, then students. So my athletes are 520, my students are 1850, but I have to reduce that. Do you guys know how to reduce in your calculator?
5/18.
No. Well, close. The zeros will cancel. It'll be 52.85. But let me show you how to reduce in the calculator, just in case you need to know. So 520, 1850. On your calculator, do you see that N over D button? You can do 520 over 1850. Hit enter, and it will reduce it for you. So N over D button right there. N over D button.
Numerator over denominator.
Yes, numerator over denominator.
Thanks for the lesson.
Now on your assignment today, when you type in the answers, I will want you to do it like this: 52.185. No spaces. Okay, so all a ratio is it compares two numbers. It has to be in the order that it tells you, like athlete to student. So I did the athletes and then the students. You have to reduce. Most important thing, if you don't reduce, it'll count it wrong. Okay, so we also will have extended ratios. So sometimes there's more than just two numbers you're comparing. So an extended ratio could be like A to B to C. So I'm just comparing the ratio, like, for example, we'll compare the ratios to sides of a triangle. So let's look at an example like that. So in a triangle, the ratio of the measures of the sides of a triangle is 3 to 3 to 8. That means two of the sides of the triangles are the same, and then the other one's longer. So 3 to 3 to 8, the perimeter is 392. What you're going to do on these types of problems is you're going to put an X next to each of those numbers and add them all up. So perimeter means you add all the sides. So I would have 3x plus 3x plus 8x. So I just put an X next to each of those. I'm going to add them all up, equals 392. So what's 3 plus 3 plus 8? So 3 plus 3 is 6, 14. So 14x equals 392. What would we do to solve that?
Divided by 14.
So somebody tell me what that is.
28.
28. Okay, that is not your answer. I need the lengths of the sides. So the lengths of the sides are going to be 3 times 28, 3 times 28, and 8 times 28.
81.
So 3 times 28 is what?
81 about, I think.
3 times 28?
84.
84. We should let Mr. H do it because he can do it all in his head. And then 3 times 28 again would be 84. What is 8 times 28? Mr. H?
63,100.
8 times 8 times
No,
8.
sorry, 300.
224.
I don't know.
Close.
Okay, so those would be the lengths of the sides.
Oh, I was multiplying for 392.
Oh. Okay, you guys okay with that so far? Okay, so that's if it's perimeter, but what if we're talking about the angles of a triangle? Do you remember what all the angles in a triangle add up to? 180. So you do it the same way, but you put it equal to 180. So 3 times x, 5 times x, 7 times x would equal 180.
15x equals 180.
15x equals 180. 180 divided by 15 is 12.
Alright.
It's a good thing I checked. Now, is that my answer? No. Do 3 times 12. I know that one. 36. Do 5 times 12. Is that 60?
Yeah.
And 7 times 12. I don't know that one.
84.
84. And then those should add up to 180. That's how you can double check. So that's how you're going to do the extended ratio problems. So a regular ratio, you just compare two numbers. Most important thing, reduce, reduce, reduce. Extended ratios, put an x next to each of them, add them up, and put it either equal to 180 or the perimeter. Last but not least, well, no, there's two other types of problems. We've got some cross multiplying. Have you guys cross multiplied before?
Top goes to bottom, bottom goes to top.
Looks kind of like a butterfly, I
That's what I
guess.
said.
Yeah, do you guys remember doing that? Okay. So you will have some cross multiplying. 6 times y is 6y. 9 times 18.2. 9 times 18.2 is 163.8. And then what would we do to solve? Divide by 6. So divide by 6. You might get some decimals today. That's okay. You can get decimals today. 27.3 would be y. Okay, let's talk about it if it looks like this.
Top to
You
bottom.
have to remember to do distributive property. So you're going to have to do the 6 times the 4x minus 5. So it'll be 6 times 4x minus 5. So what's 6 times 4x? 24x. 6 times negative 5. That, don't forget to multiply the 6 times both things. And then I have to do 3 times negative 26.
73, negative 70.
Negative 78. Then what do we do to solve? Add 30. Negative 78 plus 30.
48. Negative 48.
And then divide by, I forgot how much. Divide by 24.
2.
Oh,
That
it's
is.
negative 2, right? I can't do it. X equals negative 2. Okay. Do you guys know what x times x is?
2x.
X squared.
Wait, it's like 1 times 1, so it's x squared.
It's x squared.
Wait, what?
X times
Don't
x
need-
is x squared. Well, what's, so 6 times 6 would be
36.
36, which is 6 squared. So x times x is x squared. So if I do x times x and get x squared, 9 times 4 is 36. How do I solve that if I have an x squared? How do you undo something that's been squared? You square root it. Good. Do you know what the square root of 36 is?
No.
6.
Obvious.
Because 6 times 6 is 36. Let me show you how to do that in the calculator if you don't know.
What times itself is 30?
So, to square root, you hit the lime green second button, the x squared button, 36, hit enter, and you get 6. You good? Okay, before you go to Algebra 2, it really would be really, really good to memorize the perfect squares to 100, or to 20, like the perfect squares to 20. So, like, do you know what 13 times 13 is?
1
169. It'll just save you time. It'll save you time. Okay. Last type of problem. You're going to set up a proportion, cross multiply, and solve. So this one says that Abby randomly surveyed 30 students from her class and found that 18 had a dog or a cat. If there are 870 students in Abby's school, predict the number of students with a dog or a cat. So what I do is I take my first two numbers and I write them like a fraction. So I've got 30 is my first number. Do you guys see that? And then what's the next number I see? 18. So I write it like a fraction. The thing is, you have to know that 30 is my students and 18 is my dog or cat. If I put students on top and dog or cat on bottom, I have to put students on top and dog or cat on bottom again. So on this side, how many students would I put that 870 on top or bottom? Top. I don't know how many have a dog or cat, so X on bottom. Does that make sense? Has to be the same both times. Okay, then we cross multiply. 30 times X is 30X. 18 times 870.
522 what's it?
15.
Did you say 522?
Look,
15,660.
that's 38.
Divide by 30. Divide by 30. Oh my goodness. 30 and 522. Oh, that's what you were saying. Okay. You guys okay?
Yeah.
I think I am.
All right. Is the assignment unlocked yet?
No.
No, I'll unlock it. In case of fire, take stairs. He's like taking the stairs. Okay, I will pull up the assignment for you. I will unlock it really quick. I'm going to keep that recording so I can.
What's the best donut?
Your mother.
I mean, glazed up Krispy Kremes, there's no more on that.
Oh, your mother has a Oreo.
All right, it should be unlocked. So hit refresh.
Donut.
Donuts with so much cholesterol.
You want a Hertz donut? Hertz.
So the first three problems, you're just writing the ratio. Remember, it's important to reduce. You have to reduce. So like number 1 says 1 ounce of cheddar cheese contains 9 grams of fat. 6 of the grams of fat is saturated fat. Do the ratio of saturated fat to fat. So how much saturated fat is there?
6 to 9.
Yeah, so 6 and then 9 would be my ratio, but can we reduce that? Be 2/3. I want you to do 2.3, no spaces. No spaces. Okay, so when you do number 2, you're going to have to do the ratio of touchdowns to games and make sure you reduce it. I do want to talk about number 3 because I have people miss this one every year. So it says in a schedule of 6 classes. So I have a total of 6 classes. In a schedule of 6 classes, Marta has 2 elective classes. What's the ratio of elective to non-elective?
1/3.
If there are 2 elective, how many non-elective classes would there be?
4.
4. So 2 to 4, which would reduce to
1/3.
1/2. 2 to 4. There's a total of 6 classes.
Yeah, total of 6.
But 2 classes are elective, so how many would be non-elective? 4. Okay. Okay, you've got some cross multiplying. Make sure let's see if there's anything. Make sure you do distributive property on like 9. Do you want me to look at 9 with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you cross multiply here, you have to make sure you do distributive property. So 2 times x plus 1. So what would that be?
2x plus 2.
2x plus 2 equals, and then 7 times 3, 21.
Oh, I get it now.
Minus 2, 2x equals 19. What's 19 divided by 2?
8. 9.5.
Yeah.
Oh.
So make sure you distribute when you need to. Also, reminder, what is x times x? X squared. Do you remember how to square root in the calculator? Square root. So x times x is x squared, not 2x. You've got some word problems where you have to
Read.
set up a proportion. Let's do one. Pick one. 15, 16, 17, or 18. 17? Okay, let's do 17. So, Myra is playing a board game. After 12 turns, Myra lands on the blue space 3 times. So I always take my first 2 numbers and write them like a fraction. So what's the first number that we see? 12. And then the second number?
3.
3. So 12 is my turns. I'll put T for turns. And 3 is my times that I land on the blue space. So if I have turns on top and blue space on bottom, I have to put turns on top and blue space on the bottom again. So if the game lasts 100 turns, will 100 go on top or bottom? Top. How many times will I land on a blue space? So you just have to make sure you put it the same way each time. So then we cross multiply. 12x equals 300. What's 300 divided by 12?
25.
25? Does that kind of make sense how to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, the last type of problem is the extended ratio. So remember, you put an x next to each of those. Like on number 19, I would have 3x plus 4x plus 6x equals 104 because it's perimeter. So 13x equals 104. I don't know what 104 divided by 13 is. Do you? It is 8.
That's really interesting.
Is that my answer?
No.
No. I have to do 3 times 8. So for the shortest side, I would do 3 times 8. For the middle side, I would do 4 times 8. For the longest side, I would do 6 times 8. And then put that answer in there. So like you actually have to put 20. You guys okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's 4 times 8?
32. 6
What
times
is
8? You can do it. You got a calculator, if anything.
I don't know why,
Now,
but other
if-
problems are easier to do.
If it's angles, let's see. Angles. Oh, angles. 25. What are you going to put it equal to if it's angles? 180. Okay. That's it. If you have questions, let me know. And remember, tomorrow's assignment is the exact same. It is already unlocked if you want to get that over with. Like if you finish this one and you want to do the other one. And Friday's assignment is just 5 questions SAT prep.
That's 9.